In this video, we'll talk about how to find the determinant of a 3x3 matrix. So I have a couple examples for us to work through here. Let's check out the first one. We have the following 3x3 matrix. And by the way, a 3x3 matrix is called that because it has 3 rows and 3 columns. So that's why we call it a 3x3 matrix. To find the determinant of it, it turns out that there's a cool trick that we can use where we rewrite the first and second columns on the outside of the matrix. So let's do that. So we do 2, 0, -2, 3, 2, 5. So we rewrote these first 2 columns on the outside of the matrix. And now what we do is we look at all of the diagonals. So there will be 3 diagonals. And what we do is we multiply each of the diagonals, and then we take the sum, and then what we're going to do is multiply each of the anti-diagonals and subtract that sum. So if we do that, here's what we get. 2 times 2 times 6, that's 24. So we'll say 24 plus 3 times 4 times -2. 3 times 4 is 12, times -2 is a -24. And then we have -1 times 0 times 5, so anything times 0 is just 0, so we get plus 0. And then what we do is we subtract the sum of the products on the anti-diagonal. So 3 times 0 times 6, that's just 0, plus 2 times 4, that's 8, times 5 is 40, plus -1 times 2, that's -2, times a -2, that's a positive 4. So here's what we get. 24 plus a -24, that's 0, plus 0 is just 0. So this whole thing is 0. And then we have minus 0 plus 40 is 40, plus 4 is 44. So 0 minus this whole thing is 44. So our final answer is 0 minus 44, which is -44. So the determinant of this 3x3 matrix is -44. All right, let's try one more example. Let's say we want to find the determinant of this 3x3 matrix. We can use the exact same technique where we rewrite these first 2 columns on the outside of the matrix. So if we do that, we get 1, 2, 0, 3, 0, 2. And again, we're going to identify each of the diagonals. We will multiply each of the values in the diagonals and take the sum and then subtract the product of each of the anti-diagonals. Okay, so if we do that, we get 1 times 0 times 6, that's 0. So we'll say 0 plus 3 times -1 times 0, that's also 0. Plus 7 times 2 is 14, times 2 is 28. So we have all of that minus 6 times 2 is 12, times 3 is 36. So we have 36 plus 1 times -1 is -1, times 2 is -2. And then 0 times 0 times 7 is 0, so we have plus 0. So simplifying, 0 plus 0 plus 28, this whole thing is just 28. Then we have minus 36 plus a -2, that's 34, plus 0 is still 34. So this whole thing becomes 34. So 28 minus 34 is -6. So the determinant of this particular 3x3 matrix is -6.